Einen wunderschönen guten Abend, willkommen zur 23 Uhr Ausgabe von Giga The Show mit keinem geringeren als Etienne Gade. Hast nicht mit gerechnet, ne?
Nee, tatsächlich, das kam unüberwartet.
Ja.
So, wir machen weiter im Programm, denn wir haben ein richtig fettes Thema und einen unglaublichen Stargast in dieser Sendung. Das ist wirklich nicht übertrieben. Wir reden ja heute, das ist unser grundsätzliches Thema, über Gut und Böse in Videospielen. Und da hatten wir ja schon einige interessante Gesprächspartner heute.
Aber keiner ist so prädestiniert für dieses Thema wie den, mit dem du jetzt gleich gesprochen hast. Nämlich Peter Molyneux.
Ja.
Die wirklich Programmiererlegende von Schöpfer von Spielen wie Black and White, Dungeon Keeper, Populous natürlich und nicht zuletzt auch Fable. Und in fast allen seiner Spiele gibt es ja die Möglichkeit, die böse Seite, die dunkle Seite auszuleben. In Dungeon Keeper sogar ausschließlich. Und er ist natürlich prädestiniert, wirklich, wie ich schon gesagt habe, um über dieses Thema zu sprechen.
Genau. Ja. Und wir haben uns sehr gefreut, als wir vor einiger Zeit, nämlich vor dieser Sendung, Peter Molyneux im weltexklusiven Interview hatten. Und das ist dabei rausgekommen, das hat er zu sagen. Ja, und bei uns zum Thema jetzt eine absolute Videospiellegende, Peter Molyneux. Wir freuen uns, dass er bei uns in der Sendung ist. Hello, Peter. It's a great pleasure to have you in our show.
Yeah, hello. It's a great pleasure to be here.
Yeah, hello, great. Back in the days, the sides were quite clear. You had the good ones and you had the evil ones, not only in video games, but also in movies or in stories in general. Now things are changing. You can play good part, you can play the evil part. So what is there for you as a developer? What do you have to think about when developing a game which has so much freedom for the player?
Well, it's less about good and evil and more about you being who you want to be. Because trying to mean that you can be good or evil or cruel or kind or pure or corrupt or any of those things which kind of enables you to be the person who you are. That's where we kind of start thinking from. And what we realized when we made Fable 1 was that there was a lot of people that played as good. And so Fable 2 it's more about testing just how good you really are. And what that turns out to mean is, if you want to be a good guy, what sacrifices are you going to have to make to stay good?
Was this a surprise to you that so many players chose the good part, or did you expect that players would do that?
Yeah, it was a bit of a surprise, and it changed from country to country. For example, almost all Americans played as good, whereas English people, a lot more evil people were there. I don't know what that means. And, French people were a lot more evil, German people a lot more evil. And I spoke to a psychologist and asked them why that was. And they said, well, because the Americans tend to be a bit more, they find it harder to express themselves. Let's put it that way.
Okay, that's pretty interesting. Maybe you can have a psychologist on this one and try to research why people choose to play a good one or an evil one. So what are the impacts in the in-game environment? So if you act in a good or an evil way, what kind of things are changing?
Well, we've got, obviously your character does this thing called morphing. He changes in real time to reflect what you're like. How the world reacts to you, how the people of the world react to you, how the story reacts to you. Even the environments themselves will change around some of the choices that you've made in the game. So it's quite a broad spectrum of things. But I don't want you to think that it's just if I take the good course, I'm going to get one story, and if I take the evil course, I'm going to get another. That's not how it works. These are ways of being who you want to be, and the world reacting around you to that.
But isn't this a lot more stuff to program for you as a developer? I mean, I imagine this like a huge tree, and the other one is just a straight storyline. And isn't there a lot of, don't you waste a lot of stuff? Because when players want to play good, they can't see the evil things. Don't you waste a lot of things?
Well, it is a lot more hard work, I'll be honest with you. And because I think But I think for us, remember that Fable is set in this simulated world, and because we've got simulation, going through it all, it does mean that a lot of what you see is based upon that simulation. So we have just got the simulation reacting to who you are, rather than us just continually branching the story. And this is, we haven't got a good story and an evil story, a pure story and a corrupt story, and a cruel story and a kind story. That's not how it works. It all sort of flows into each other. And that means, it does mean a lot more work, but hey, this makes, if I can be who I want to be, this is our dream, then it feels more like it's my story, and that's worth that extra hard work, because it is unique. It means that playing a computer game like Fable is very different from watching a movie, obviously, not only because you do other things in a computer game, but because I can be who I want to be. I think it's worth the extra work. Maybe some programmers here would argue with me on that point, but I think it's worth it.
Do you think that developing such games is maybe a little bit dangerous? Because if people once played such a game where they have so much freedom, they don't want to go back to just a single straight game. And it's, of course, a lot of very expensive to develop such a game, and it takes a lot of time. So do you think that people don't want anything else in the future than a non-linear game?
No, I think, I think linear games and stories and films, and they have their place, but it's nice to have some uniqueness. It's nice to have, things that I haven't played before, and that's what we're trying to do. And that really matters to me, is that when you play something like Fable, you kind of feel, I haven't had that before. I haven't had that experience before. I haven't been able to be like this in a story before, and that makes it pretty. I hope that makes it pretty special.
So, what can we expect? Can you tell us some events in Fable 2 that refer to this choice between good and evil? Maybe if you meet someone and you treat him in a different way, he acts different. Can you give us an example?
I can do, but I'm not going to give you an example from the game as such, only because I don't want to spoil the story, and I'm really keen on not, doing things called spoilers. So let's just take an example. You're walking along, you're on the way to another quest, and this man runs out of the trees and he says, "Oh, my son, he's gone missing in the woods. I need someone to help me find my son." And while he's talking, you are completely free. You're still free. In Fable 2, we very rarely take control away from you. We allow you to do whatever you want to do. So you could, at that point, just kill the man. You're not interested. You're too busy on important stuff. Kill him. Who cares? Now, that's going to have some consequences. He's got a family. If you went into town, you might meet that family. They may have a vendetta against you. Or that's one course. Now, that's obviously the evil course. Let's talk about less of an evil, but not the good course. Especially if the man came out and ran to you and said, "Oh, I need help for my son," and you just laughed at him. And you just completely laughed at him and then walked off. That would have consequences. He'd think you were very rude. If anyone was seeing that, they would think you were very rude. If, for example, you listened to him and you went after his son and you found that his son wasn't lost in the woods, he'd been killing people himself, he was an evil man, what do you do then? Do you take justice into your own hands and kill him? Do you take him to the town guards? Do you take him back to the father and kill him in front of the father? Do you take him back to the father and kill the father? These are some of the choices and consequences going through the game. Now, if I say, what if that man that came out running to you had a little settlement, and if he died, that settlement wouldn't turn into a village, and that settlement wouldn't become a town in 20 years' time. Now you're starting to see some of the consequences of your actions later on.
Okay, kind of butterfly effect here. So
yeah, that's right. Yeah. And all of those examples I've given you there exist in some form in the game. I'm not saying that this man will run out to you and meet you, but I'm certainly saying in Fable 2, There are times where you think you've made a very simple choice, but it turns out to have very far-reaching consequences. There are times where you can point and laugh at people when they're telling you sad stories. There are times where you can just say, listen, you just upset me, so I'm just going to kill you. Now, the interesting thing is, making it your choice, you the player's choice, is like me giving you a knife. You can use a knife to slice bread, or you can use a knife to stab someone. The choice is yours. I'm not saying that, slicing a slice of bread is the thing you should do, or stabbing someone is the thing you should do. It's the choice is yours. And that makes this game very interesting, especially when it comes to people's self-expression.
Okay, so thank you very, very much, Mr. Molyneux, that you had time for us. We really appreciate it. Unfortunately, we're running out of time, but I say bye for the moment. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you.
Wahnsinn, der Peter, ne?
Der Peter. Ne?
Der Peter.
Ja.
Peter und der Wolf.
Womit wir bei Gut und Böse sind. Ne?
Absolut. Und wer mehr von Peter haben möchte, der geht bei uns auf die Seite. Wir haben nämlich noch ein Interview mit ihm aufgezeichnet. Das habe ich dann geführt zum Thema Fable 2. Und das ist noch geiler. Könnt ihr auf jeden Fall, ist, glaube ich, wie lange ist es, liebe Regie? Ich glaube, fast 20 Minuten, ne?
Ja,
über 20 Minuten habe ich quasi Stunden. Ich bin ja so mit Peter über alles geredet, ne? So Lieblingsfarbe, was er gestern zu Abend gegessen hat. Also müsst ihr einfach euch angucken, gibt es bei uns dann auf der Seite Peter Molyneux ungeschminkt. Und jetzt gibt's den Newsflash.
Schon seit einigen Monaten ist Sony auf der Suche nach einem neuen Maskottchen. Sie müssen ja langsam auch mal nachziehen. Jeder große Hersteller hat so seine Leute. Nintendo logischerweise hat Mario. Microsoft könnte man sicherlich den Master Chief anführen. Sega hatte seinerzeit Sonic. Sony haben nicht so wirklich einen gehabt, aber jetzt scheint sich doch ein Kandidat rauszukristallisieren. Und das ist Sackboy. Den kennt ihr aus Little Big Planet, dem neuen vielleicht System-Seller für Sonys PlayStation 3. Und der ist also in der näheren Auswahl für ein Maskottchen. Am 22. Oktober erscheint das Spiel dann auch erst für die PlayStation 3. Wir bleiben bei der Maskottchenjagd am Ball.
Ich hätte ein Maskottchen für Sony. Sonic. Verstehst du? Wegen Sonic. Naja. Okay. Eine News zu Microsoft, und zwar gibt es Neues aus dem Hause Microsoft, und zwar werden die sich sozial engagieren. Und wie macht das Microsoft? Und indem sie ein neues Spielpackage, eine Spielsammlung auf den Markt bringen. In dieser Spielsammlung, die es für $29,99 zu erwerben gibt, ist Viva Pinata Party Animals, Sonic the Hedgehog, da ist er, und Shrek the Third enthalten. Alle 3 Spiele für $29. Und das Ganze wird einem guten Zweck gewidmet, nämlich dem Children's Miracle Network, eine Organisation, zu der über 170 Krankenhäuser gehören, in denen kranke Kinder gepflegt und gehegt werden. Und das ist eine super Sache. Kann man leider bislang nur in Amerika unterstützen, da es das Package hier noch nicht gibt. Sollte es aber hier rauskommen, werden wir euch darüber natürlich nochmal informieren.
Über Wochen zog sich die Gerüchteküche hin, dass Take-Two übernommen werden soll von Electronic Arts. Allerdings blieb Take-Two standhaft. Die Angebote waren ihnen nicht gut genug. Man sei der Meinung, das wäre nicht dem Wert der Firma gerecht gewesen, was da an Angeboten rüberkam. Take-Two hat unter anderem Bioshock gemacht, Grand Theft Auto Max Payne oder auch Oblivion. Das sind so eine der größten Titel. Jetzt gab es also ein Statement vom Chef von Take-Two, Stress Selnick, der gesagt hat, man sei also den Aktionären schuldig, dass man sich nicht unter Wert geschlagen gebe. Er sagt wortwörtlich, wir haben das klare Mandat der Aktionäre, den Wert des Unternehmens zu maximieren. Wir sind stark positioniert in kreativer, finanzieller und Wettbewerbsfähigkeit. So, das
Jetzt
hat er gesagt.
Gibt's Fracture für die 360. Hörst du auch mal auf zu reden?
Nein, niemals.
Unglaublich.